All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Best Practices for Effective Digital Food Merchandising. I want to make sure that everybody knows how to participate with me today and that you can hear me loud and clear. So if Jacob or Chris, if you could send me a chat with a thumbs up that you can hear me and that my audio sounds good, I would appreciate it. And for everybody else, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Sarah Federico, and I am the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here. And I will be sharing today the stage with Bill Claps, our president. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about effective digital food merchandising. So let me just see. It sounds like everybody can hear me. Thank you, Stephen, for acknowledging that. Hope everybody's having a great day. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Zoom meeting interface, you should see a black toolbar somewhere on your screen. There's a little conversation bubble that says chat, and that is how you can participate with me. So I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and trying to answer questions and all of that. And so if everybody wants to practice, maybe send me a chat and tell me how you're feeling today. It's Wednesday, midweek. It's been very rainy in Atlanta, but hopefully you guys are experiencing better weather wherever you are. So Dan, David, I'd love to hear from you guys how you're doing. And of course, we look forward to sharing some great information with you today. So I'm going to keep us moving so that way we get through all of our content. We'll probably be together for about the next 30 minutes or so, and we are about to dive right in. So thank you for all the familiar faces, and for anybody who's not familiar with us, I'll just give you a brief introduction to who we are. So we have been in business since 2009, and we were founded to deploy and manage complex turnkey digital menu solutions. And essentially, we have over 30 years combined merchandising food and beverage experience. So when you work with DEEL Media, you are working with experts, and we would love to share more about that later on. But for today, we want to make sure we provide you with some really valuable content. Additionally, we are really for companies that need high touch customer support or want high touch customer support. We are a full scale solution provider, which means that we can help you with everything from hardware procurement to graphic design, food merchandising, as well as our software solution. And our platform has the ability to manage a large network of menu boards. So with that said, we'll hop right in for our webinar topic today. Our objective is to give you the latest digital signage trends, some statistics about what's going on, and most importantly, the best practices for effectively merchandising food and beverage, which if you try to say that 10 times fast, you'll probably get tongue-tied. I also like to think of myself as a tiny bit of a comedian, so it's okay to laugh along at home while you're out there listening. That's totally fine. I've got a crowd over here laughing at me. All right, so let's talk about some latest statistics and trends, just a few things that I thought you may already know, or a few things that might validate what you're doing, and maybe a few new facts. So some unique benefits and reasons to leverage a digital menu board network or digital signage solution is that they are 10 times more eye-catching than their traditional signage. On top of that, 70% of shoppers are influenced by in-store messages. A couple of other benefits that are unique to a digital platform is that you can feature motion graphic messaging, typically managed in the cloud. It's flexible, so you can change out your menu by day part, you can advertise specials, you can easily make price changes or display promotional material. It's agile, you can make these changes quickly for pricing, specials, again, depleting inventory, so if something that you have on your menu is sold out, you can adjust very quickly. And of course, the ability to integrate with your point of sale systems, inventory systems, and other third-party information sources that will help you be relevant and provide in-the-moment information to your customers. Additionally, a couple of other things that I found interesting is that digital signage has a 400% more views than static displays and have an 83% recall rate. So recall and retention is a big benefit to using a digital signage platform. It's easy to launch. So in just a couple of clicks, you can get your content optimized, configured to meet the needs of your company as well as your target market, and you can easily deploy that to multiple locations across the nation. Maybe one that most of us care about is increased income. 60% of purchasing decisions are made at the point of sale, and about 80% of the brands using digital signage see a 33% increase in sales. So there's a little bit of ROI, and I'm going to give you some other statistics as we go. And then helping reduce costs in the form of time and materials. So you eliminate the need for printing large posters and materials for menu boards. You can obviously reduce your costs and save time by eliminating the need for logistics and storage of materials, as well as employees to manage and change out all of the content. So those are a couple of things that were unique. If you have any questions, feel free to just pop that up in the chat. I don't see any so far, so I will keep moving along. And of course, if there's any comments or anything that you want to add that you think your fellow listeners would like to hear, we'd certainly love to hear from you on that as well. Okay, so next, thinking about the top benefits of digital signage. So this is a survey that was conducted from customers that organizations that have digital signage implementations, and their biggest benefit has been 68% in the centralized control of the menu board content. So think large nationwide network of locations and being able to manage those from a central location. 49% said better pricing flexibility and lower costs to make changes to the menu. So again, that's a little bit about that efficiency that I mentioned earlier. And then increased sales of promotional items, as well as improved operational efficiencies, said 38% of the respondents. And then again, as we look to potentially driving an ROI, you can see higher check averages was 21%. So that's a pretty sizable percentage of the survey respondents getting a lift to their sales. All right, so as we talk about ROI and return on investment, I tried to drill it down to some hard statistics for you. And the average restaurant sees between a 3 to 5% sales uplift after installing digital menu boards. And a couple of other key points that I thought were relevant in looking at ROI is that 74% of customers have an easy to read menu as one of their top priorities. And I think we all can probably attest to bad experiences with not being able to read a menu. So thinking about the fact that that does have an impact on customer experience, I thought was pretty critical. Here's an actual case study, a 7-Eleven in Denmark. The convenience stores there saw an increase in their coffee sales by 30% after they switched over to digital. And 70% of those customers that see digital signage make an unplanned purchase. So this goes back to recall, retention, and higher degree of visibility. 29% of customers find that digital menus are influential for purchases of their products. And another good case study, Prime Burger, which is a fast food chain in the UK, increased their sales 50% after they replaced their static signs with digital. So I wanted to share those statistics because I think it makes a really good case as you think about the potential expansion on your digital signage efforts, potential implementation of digital signage if you haven't converted yet. And then also for those of you that already have large networks of digital signage, how effective are you messaging and what does your content look like? And is it getting you these types of results? Because if not, it might be time for a refresh. And so leading into that, we obviously are going to talk about some key best practices for effective digital food merchandising. And to do that, I felt it best to leave it to the experts. And so, of course, as I said, I've invited Bill, our president and our co-founder here at DEEL Media. I'm sure looking at the names in the call with me today, a lot of you know Bill, and are probably look at that mugshot and think that that's a really good picture of him. I think he thinks so too. But he has over 20 years of experience in digital signage and food merchandising. So he is an expert. He's worked with QSRs and managing the conversion of manual processes to digital. At the time with a QSR holding company that had over 13,000 locations. He was recognized as an internet visionary for designing the first intranet for restaurant franchisees. And most impressive is he led the project team that rolled out the first digital menu boards for McDonald's. So he has been at this for a while. And in 2009, when he founded DEEL Media, he took all the experience that he had and baked that into our proprietary content management system called Carbon. So if you guys give me like, I can't hear it, but I'm going to assume we're getting a round of applause. Crowd is going wild. We're turning it over to Bill.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you with us. I am going to talk about four key topics that I consider to be the most important for effective digital merchandising, digital food merchandising. Knowing your customers, how to build appetite appeal for your product, using emotion to drive purchase intent, and selecting the right CMS platform. I just have to learn how to use the system. There we go. Okay, can I minimize that? All right, so the concepts that I'm going to discuss here do take some time and rigor, but they do pay off. Implementing these concepts require a CMS system that allows you to implement easily at scale. So that's my sales pitch. This is what our Carbon platform was designed to do. We know that presenting customers with items and offers that are of interest to them make them more likely to buy those products. So we also know that your location managers, theater managers, store managers, park managers know the demographics of their customer base. They know their customers' preferences, habits, buying patterns, and they know that they have many day parts that are in their stores. So we feel that working with local managers to understand these details and build this learning into your digital merchandising presentation is the best way to drive increased sales and customer satisfaction. So think about building menu presentations by day of week, day part, and store. So instead of thinking of one general menu mix and day parting strategy across your network, think of it by location, and then create messaging, bundles, and offers that are specific to the demographics of those day parts. When you do that, customers are much more likely to react to those. So most restaurant menus consider 2 day parts because it's hard to get beyond that. Like I said, it takes rigor. They consider breakfast and rest of day. Rest of day starts at lunch and continues on until the location closes. This is changing. I mean, the fact that all day breakfast items are out there now, and there are other very specific demographic changes that are making people visit at different times of the day. So restaurants and theaters really do have things that I like to call micro day parts. These are little time periods during the day where you might have, you might have a snack period. So you might have breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, late night. So imagine you have a location that is around the corner from a high school, and that high school gets out at 3 p.m. Well, at 3:15 p.m., you have a new day part and you have a new demographic mix of customers, and you should merchandise to that. you need a system that allows you to do that. We actually have one customer who runs 32 unique day parts during the week. And again, in order to be effective, you need a CMS that allows you to have that kind of a complex strategy. Okay, let's talk about food. If it looks bad, your customers won't find out how it tastes. They won't eat it. The same is true with the food imagery on your menu board. So please, I beg of you, invest in the food and beverage imagery for your menu board, for your merchandising. It will pay off. We've had customers who put French fries on a counter, shot it with their iPhone, and sent it to us asking, to put that up on their boards. And of course, we have to respectfully decline to do so and advise on how best to handle it. When this happens, we get one of our food stylists involved and our photographers. You guys may have agencies that you work with, but you really need to do the right thing when it comes to food. Another thing to consider is that photography, most photography work for food is done for print, and it's not directly transferable to use for digital merchandising. So many clients will create designs intended for print in a digital application such as Photoshop, which by default uses CMYK color output for color separation and printing. That needs to be converted to RGB for video, and it needs to be color corrected for video. And if you don't do that, the white balance, the saturation, they won't look good on a video screen. So again, if you have someone on staff or in your agency who understands how to do this, I highly recommend doing that color correction before moving food photography to digital. Of course, we can always do it for you. So color balance is really useful for changing the color cast or the hue in the light or dark midtones of a photograph. I'm trying to scroll down. There we go. And let me just show you an example of what that difference looks like. So if you look at the image on the left, that is color balance for print, and you can see that the chicken is a little bit gray. The French fries don't look too terribly appealing. There's kind of a dull cast over the corn. If you look at it color corrected for video, even all the way down to that barbecue sauce that has a much more saturated red tone in it, just looks that much better. And just that simple change can really be the difference between someone wanting that product, being attracted to that product, or being a little bit turned off by the product. So again, I highly recommend taking care with that before you put content on your menu board. Okay, using emotion to drive purchase intent. I'm using the word emotion, even though it's a little bit of a play on words, I am using it intentionally. Motion creates emotion, and that can drive not just eyeballs to the product, but purchase intent. I'm sure you're all familiar with great examples of TV spots that show extreme close-ups of like a perfectly styled burger with the cheese melting and the ketchup dripping, slowly revolving on the screens. I mean, that type of imagery really causes people. It's really an emotional reaction they have to it, and that emotional reaction is what you're looking for. You want to make them really want that product and really want to buy. Conversely, if motion is handled improperly, it can have an adverse effect. I have seen instances where companies have used motion to add personality to a food, making it dance like a character. people don't want to eat characters. They want to eat food, and they want to eat food that is, is beautiful and appealing to them. I've also seen folks use hand-drawn imagery of food as part of their merchandising, and that also provides a negative personality, but that's not all of it. It really doesn't represent the product accurately. So knowing your food, and using great photography and great motion photography is really important. So, the bottom line is take great care in your use of motion to create appetite, appeal, and purchase intent, and you will be rewarded at the point of sale. So here's an example of some motion. This is a spot that we did for a theater where we were introducing a new coffee product. I love the reveal because it was a new introduction. The steam and the motion of the crema on top of the coffee really makes it appealing. We didn't actually have the real cup to shoot, so we started with a white 3D model, and that's all we started with, creating the background and creating the motion for the for the coffee and the steam. And it was a very successful launch for this theater company. So just an example. And selecting the right CMS platform. Sarah said in the introduction of me that we baked what we learned into Carbon, and that is certainly the case. It is built to do all of the things that we're talking about and more. And you have to consider that specifically when you're considering digital menu boards. There are lots of content management platforms out there, but very few of them were designed from the beginning with digital menu boards in mind. And we consider digital menu boards to be the most complex expression of digital signage. Especially if you adhere to some of the recommendations that we've made today regarding targeted messaging and micro day parts. And, let's say you get started with a handful of stores. As your network grows to 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000 stores, you really need to be able to manage that efficiently and effectively as you grow, and that's really the challenge. Frankly, you can do a digital menu board with PowerPoint if you really wanted to, but think about what it would take to make a change to that presentation in 1,000 stores. When you have a simple price change, so you really need to be looking for a product that allows you to make these changes very quickly. So things to look for include the ability to store content and presentation instructions as data, as opposed to files in a file structure. It allows you to sort and schedule much more quickly, and really handle much larger implementations. You're looking for a platform that can dynamically assemble the menu board presentation at each store for each day of the week, so 7 unique day parts, and as many day parts as your store really has, back to the micro day parting concept. You need to consider being able to schedule promotional start and end dates for every single piece of content on your menu board, including pricing, as pricing may change with promotional campaigns. And then the ability to integrate with point of sale systems or other data sources for dynamic information, such as calorie counts and analytics, that really allows you to be hands-off. In the end, it's almost a set it and forget it system once you have everything built. If pricing is coming from your point of sale and you make a price change, then you don't have to worry about also having to change it on the menu board if you're integrated. So those were the topics that I was set to discuss today, and I will turn it back over to Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. Great job and great information. So I have a couple more things I'd like to share before we wrap up today, but I'd love to take this time, since this is the content that I think most of you came here to hear about, I'd love to just open it up for questions. Again, all you have to do is on the toolbar, put something in the chat room. I will be able to see it, and I'll read it out loud so that everybody else listening can hear your question, because chances are they might be thinking about it too. And I can have myself or Bill answer your questions. I'm going to give you just a few minutes to add any comments or questions to the chat. I know some of you have joined on the phone line or through your computer audio, and we do have you muted just so that we didn't accidentally get any background noise. So if you're having any trouble, I'm not seeing any questions, which means Bill did an excellent job. Not that I had any doubts, but I keep them coming if you'd like, and then we will also give you our contact information. So if you have something after the fact. Okay, so there is a question that says, what do you think about the CMS platforms that allow you to build animations inside the CMS?
You know, designers and motion graphic designers have industry standard tools that they are familiar with and that allow them to do all of the great things that that they do. The Adobe Creative Suite is the best example of that. I think trying to rebuild that ability inside of a CMS is it's really not necessary. It's a big ask for any development team to do that, especially when Adobe's already out there. So our recommendation is to allow designers to work in the tools that they know, that are industry standard and that have shareable formats, and upload the finished content to your CMS platform for scheduling and management.
Okay, we have a couple more. One is, the first one is, what's dynamic creation at runtime?
Dynamic creation at runtime is the ability for your player to assemble your menu at the given time at each location. So, you know, all back to the concept of micro day parting, the instructions from your CMS system when you set up that day part will be distributed out to the location, and the media player will actually pull the data from its sources and assemble it to present the exact that exact presentation to customers at that moment. And so that allows you to have that unique presentation by day of week and day part. It'd be really hard to do without dynamic assembly.
Okay, awesome. We have a couple of other questions coming in, so I'll just read them out loud and we'll keep going. So if anything else comes up, just mention it and we will get to it. So question, our theme park customers have multiple unique restaurants across multiple parks. Since they will have unique menus and offerings, does a digital menu board platform work for them? I'm going to say short answer is yes, but I'll let Bill elaborate.
Well, of course it does. I mean, the challenge with unique menu boards is that, you know, you still have to do the content work. So, you know, if you're doing the menu board content for one location or for 1,000 locations, it still has to be done. It's obviously more cost effective if you can spread it across multiple locations. But for companies like theme parks that have that type of they're different venues within the same environment, we recommend creating a reusable template, if you will. When you think template, don't think that everyone's going to look the same, but a template that can be populated based on the branding of that location, the branding and the products of that location. So the content sizing may be the same by portion of screen, and the layout may be similar, so that you can reuse, you can reuse some content across multiple locations, but also then have unique content that is specific to those locations. And a thing to think about for that is you really need a system that prevents you from launching the wrong content at the wrong location when you're working in that environment. You want to make sure that when you have a venue that has different brands or different offerings, that you only have the ability to launch the correct content for that for that venue.
Okay, great. One more. What is the attention span of the average customer? For example, what is the maximum length that a video loop should be to promote products? Great question.
Well, and we look at it a little differently than attention span. I think the way that we look at it is more based on the amount of time that a customer will spend in an area while they're waiting to get to the point of sale, and that changes by time of day in some cases. There are some venues where you can walk right up to the point of sale and you have to make a quick decision. There are others, like theaters are a great example, where the lobbies are bigger, there's more linger time, and in some cases when on a Saturday evening or a Friday evening, the lines can be longer. So we recommend building the playlist based on the dynamics of those day parts. Now, all that being said, you really want a customer to see each message 3 times while they're in the venue. That will give them that is the number of times that it takes to make an impact that they will remember. So with that, if you've got a 1-minute cue, then you're probably talking about 3 messages in a loop that play over and over, so that they get to see it 3 times while they're in there. So a short message, 8 seconds times 3, that kind of a thing. So again, the attention span is probably limited when it comes right down to it. But giving customers a limited number of messages to consider and giving them the ability to see them multiple times is what you really need to make the impact.
Okay, great. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in, but it's not too late. So if something's on your mind, feel free to just pop it in the chat box and I will check again. But for now, I'm going to keep this moving. So Bill has just shared some really great best practices around digital food merchandising, gave us a couple of really great examples why the photography is so critically important. I think the biggest thing is however you decide to move forward and whoever you decide to work with, make sure that you feel confident that you're leveraging somebody that's an expert. Leveraging an expert is going to ensure that you are really maximizing your digital menu board solution by increasing your customer engagement, making sure that you're making the good impressions and multiple impressions, as Bill just touched on, making sure that your digital signage is optimized to grow sales, meaning that you're leveraging all of the tools correctly and you've got the messaging on point. Leverage your targeted merchandising and help you gain long-term savings. So an expert will be able to act as a partner with you and consult with you and make sure that you're doing all of those things well. Let's see here. Another question came in, which is perfect timing. It says, how long is the average video length based on experience?
So in terms of a promotional message, we really like to keep them to 8 to 10 seconds, no more than that. It's got to be a quick message. It's got to have a call to action. The call to action should be displayed for, if not the entire message, a good part of the message. And it also depends on exactly what the use is. I mean, if we're talking about a message that's on a digital menu board, we have to assume we have customers that are standing in front of it at the point of sale, looking up, trying to make a decision. But there are other opportunities in theme parks, theaters, where you have a bigger venue and you may have other merchandising screens around the venue. You can use a longer format message there, but you have to assume that folks are walking by, they're not standing there. So again, whatever the call to action is, if it's a product you want them to purchase, or a title, a movie that you want them to see, it should always be displayed throughout the entire video, if you will, or animation.
Okay, perfect. And it looks like I'll move on and get us to the end here. And that way we can be respectful of everyone's time. And if there's any other questions that we can't get to, we'll make sure that we email you directly and answer your question. But we talked a little bit about leveraging an expert. I want to just share with you a few capabilities that our team has. If you are looking for a provider, or you're currently leveraging us and just need some additional help, we'd be happy to do that. So really, I kind of boil it down to say we can give you everything that you need when it comes to digital menu board or digital signage solution. We have a 5-phase approach to helping you get up and running, and it's really very methodical. Phase 1, of course, is scope out your needs and define what you want your end solution to look like. We'll go to design phase. Obviously, we will do production and testing. Phase 4, of course, is getting it installed. And phase 5 is making sure that we provide the training, the support, and the ongoing maintenance that you need to continue maximizing your results. To narrow it down a little further, when we say everything that you need, I've mentioned this a little bit as we've gone, but solution design, creative services, which includes that food photography and animation and motion that we talked about. Our content management software is called Carbon. It's a proprietary system that's designed with all of these best practices in mind, and again is all of the things that Bill and the other partners of DEEL have learned throughout their years in building these platforms across the country. We can help you with all of your hardware procurement, testing, kitting, all of that. Of course, we handle all the delivery, logistics, and installation, as well as content management. And then I think in some cases, most importantly, technical support. We work with a variety of customers and a variety of industries. Our platform is built to be successful in, across theater and entertainment, as well as retail, restaurants, convenience stores. I put up a couple of our customers here just to give you kind of an idea of the scope and the scale at which we're able to work. And of course, our technology, I've mentioned it, is on the cutting edge of what's out there and what's available. So we would love to invite you all to connect with us. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, follow our company page. That is where we will be making announcements about additional upcoming webinars that add value and kind of educate you. You can reach out directly to me or Bill. All of our contact information is up there if you don't already have it. Connect with us to talk about any additional best practices, talk about our solutions, get recommendations on what you're currently doing. We're happy to take a phone call and chat with you on anything that you need. So I will make sure that you have all of this information. I'm going to send you a link to 2 things, and these are very important. One is these best practices. So I will send you a link to download the information that you saw here today. So if you didn't take notes or you don't remember everything, that's okay. We will give you access to that. And then I'm also going to provide you a link to a survey. We'd love to get your feedback, ensure that we are providing you valuable content, and make sure that we know what you want to hear more about in the future. So I will keep it open for a few more minutes for questions. I'm going to go back one slide in case you want to jot down any of our contact information. So I'll stay on the line with Bill here for a couple more minutes for questions. But if you don't have any questions and you need to get back to your day, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing the last 30 minutes or so, well, 40 minutes or so with Bill and I. It was our pleasure to have you and to share this information. And we look forward to seeing you in one of our future events, and hopefully we'll be chatting soon. So thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate it.